Okay, so we'll take the next part of our lab, which is part 3. So we got to this side. What we are going to do is, the question says we should use the pass convert round method as appropriate within the program. So as we do it, this will be achieved. So the next thing says we should format the output display to text box controls as shown in the first figure. So the output display, we should show it as the first figure. So let's move on to the figure. So these are the output text box. So you should make sure that this one shows this with 2 decimal places without a currency sign. This one to 2 decimal places without a currency sign. But the last one has 2 decimal places with a currency sign. The currency will be based on it will be based on the your how your laptop has been set. So if mine has been set to Ghana, it will be Ghana cedis. Okay, and look at this place too. So even if we type 123.45, after clicking the compute button, it should add the currency to it and display it. So after clicking the compute button, the currency should be what added. But when we are typing, you have to ignore the currency. So you type the numbers, click on the compute, and then the currency shows. So when the compute button is clicked, all of these will we make sure that the output looks something like this. So the currency will be here with 2 decimal places. This one without a currency, 2 decimal places. This one is an integer. This one with 2 decimal places, 2 decimal places, a currency, and then 2 decimal places. Okay, so let's move on to the code. Okay, so I'll give it a comment of display in output. Okay, so the gross profit text box, let's look at the design. So this particular text box, the gross profit text box, is going to show the value of the gross profit answer that you got. So the text property of this gross profit text box is going to show the gross profit answer that we got. The text property of this storage charges text box is also going to show the storage charges answer that you got from the calculation. So the gross profit text box, its text property is going to be the gross profit answer that we got. But now the gross profit answer that we got is a decimal value. The data type is a decimal value, so we pass it here. So we changed it to where is it? Okay, sorry, we didn't pass it, but when we were declaring it, we declared it as a decimal. So the gross profit answer that we have is a decimal. You have to convert it back to a string before giving it to the text value of this text box. So we have to change it to a string before giving it back to the text value of this text box, because that text box only displays text values. So we have to convert the answer in this particular gross profit variable back to a text or a string before giving it to this particular text property. So I have to add dot to string. So we are converting it to a string. So I bring my brackets because it is a method. Now when we look at the design, see that the gross profit has 2 decimal places but with no currency. So I have to put something in inverted commas inside the bracket. So it comes with 2 decimal places with no currency. So I'll put N2. So 2 for the decimal places, and because it comes with no currency, I'll add N. So I'm done with the gross profit. So the storage charges text box, the text property is also going to be assigned the answer we got for storage charges. We are also going to convert it to a string and pass this to it. So let's look at the output. So for the storage charges, it also has 2 decimal places but with no currency. Okay, so I'll use N2 too. The last one is the net profit text box. So the net profit text box, the text property of it is also going to be assigned the net profit answer that we got. We convert it to a string and pass it this value. So let's check there. So you see that for the net profit, it comes with a currency. So what are we going to do? We are not going to use N2 because N2 won't come with the currency. We are rather going to use C2. So C2 says that it should be in 2 decimal places and then it should come with the currency. Okay, so the last one is this particular one. Even though it is not an output text box, but because when we click on the compute button, this particular currency should show. Then we have to also make sure that we format it nicely. So the retail price text box, its text property is also going to be assigned the retail price. The retail price, we convert it to a string, and because it comes with a currency, we give it what? C2. So let's look at, let's run it and see. Okay, so let me ignore this part. Let me type 123.45. Let me type exactly what our question has and see if you get the same answer. So 123.45, 73.45, and 2. 73.45, and then quantity is 2. So I click on the compute button. I get 100, 5, and then 95 Ghana cedis. So you see, after clicking the compute button, it added the Ghana cedis over here, and I have 105 Ghana cedis 95. So let's check the answers and see if our calculations are correct. 105, 95. Okay, but after clicking the compute button, the compute button became disabled, and then the reset button became enabled, the other buttons. But when you look at mine, you see that the compute button is still enabled and the reset button is disabled. So as we move along the question, you make sure that when we click on the compute button will become disabled, and then the reset button will become enabled. Okay, so we move on to the next task. The next task says that where is it? The next task says that we should accumulate the total net profit for each part to a model level accumulating variable. So you should note this, a model level accumulating variable. So the total net profit should be a model level accumulating variable. So let's first declare that as a model level variable. And then we should also accumulate the total quantity to a model level accumulating variable. So total net profit, total quantity, they are all model level accumulating variables. You can assume that each time the compute button is clicked, the profit for a part is estimated. Okay, fine. So let's implement this. I come to the top part before the first sub. So before the first sub procedure, that is where we declare the model level variables. So I'll give it a comment and make it declaring model level variables. Okay, so the first one is total net profit. And then declaring it as a decimal. The next one is total quantity. And also we are declaring it as an integer. Okay, so we have declared them. We are now going to write the code to be able to accumulate the total net profit and then the total quantity. So I'll add it to the calculations part. Let me give it a different, so I'll give it a comment of accumulating totals. Okay, so the first one is the total net profit. So total net profit will be equal to the total net profit plus the net profit. So we are accumulating the net profit, and total quantity is also equal to the total quantity plus quantity. Okay, so we have done that too. Let's move on to the next instruction. So the next instruction is that we are supposed to disable the compute button and enable the reset form button when the compute button is clicked. So when it is clicked, the compute button becomes disabled and then the reset form button becomes enabled. So I'll add a comment add make it disabling and enabling buttons. So when the compute is clicked, the compute button the enabled property of the compute button will become false. So if you remember, when we were doing the property, we set the enabled property of that particular button. But this time around, when we click on it, that enabled property should turn to false. The same thing to the reset form button. But this time around, the enabled property of the reset form button should be true. So let's run it and see. So from startup, the reset form button is disabled. Type this, type this, type that. When I click on compute, the compute button becomes disabled, and then the reset button becomes what? Enabled. Okay, so we are done with that too. The next one is, now we are done with the compute button. The next one is the reset form button coding. So when we click on the reset button, the question says that we should clear all data input and output controls. So let's do that one first. So all output and input text boxes should be cleared. So let's look at them. We have the part identifier text box. We have the part description, the retail, the wholesale. So all these will be cleared when we click on the reset button. So double click on the reset button. Okay, so the part identifier text box dot clear. I've already taught you the other ways, but for this one I'm going to just use the clear method. So the part description text box dot clear, the retail price text box dot clear, the wholesale dot clear, then the quantity text box dot clear, the which one again, the gross profit text box dot clear, the storage charges text box dot clear, and the net profit text box dot clear. Let's run it and see if we're able to get all of them. So type something, type something, type something, something, something. Click on compute, and let's click on reset form. Okay, so we have all of them. Okay, let's move on to the next instruction. The next instruction says you should enable the compute button and disable the reset form button. So when we click on the reset, the compute button should be enabled, and then the reset form button should be disabled. So I can just copy this over here. paste it inside here and turn this one to true and change this one to false. Let's try it and see. So type something, this is something, this is something, and then something. Click on compute and it is disabled. Click back the reset form and then it becomes disabled and this one becomes enabled. Okay, let's move on to the next instruction. The next instruction says when you click on the reset, the focus should be set back to the part identifier text box. So similar to what we did in lab 1, add a comment as setting focus. And the question says the focus should be set to the part identifier. So part identifier text box should be focused. So we add the 2 brackets. Okay, so we are done with that instruction too. So we are done with the reset form button as well. The next one is, it says the total net profit button coding. So the coding for the total net profit button. It says we should use a modular level variable accumulated when clicking the compute button to compute the average net profit. So when we click on the total net profit, it should calculate for the average net profit too and display a message box like the one shown below. But in this question the message box was not shown, so we will design our own message box to show the total net profit, the total quantity of parts, and then the average net profit. So the message box is going to show these three things in a message. So it says we should use a try catch block with multiple catch blocks to catch the exception that can occur if there had not been any part estimates made yet. So say if we have not made any sales or any estimates, you should throw an error, meaning if it is empty, we don't type anything, and then we should catch a general exception that may also occur. Okay, so let's take care of the average net profit. Come back to the program, come back to the design, and double click on the total net profit. Okay, so the coding for it should take care of the average net profit. Let's see something. It says use the modular level variable. So the average net profit should also be a modular level variable. So I'll go back to the top of the program and add another variable, which is average net profit. I'll declare it also as a decimal. And since this is also a decimal, we can just bring comma here and add average net profit and then take this one away. Any of these is okay. So we have gotten that too. So the next thing is to perform the calculation over here. So calculation for net profit. Sorry, average net profit. So the average net profit, let me change something here. Small n to capital N. That is the naming convention that was taught in class. Small n to capital N. Okay. So the average net profit is equal to the total net profit divided by the total quantity. So that's how to find the average. So we have calculated the average, and then we have to sorry, I had to do something first, so let me take this away. Let me cut it instead. So this is what I remembered. It says we should use a try-catch block with multiple catch blocks. So I have to put it in a try-catch block. So I have try, and since the question said a multiple catch block, I have to first catch an arithmetic expression. Before. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the arithmetic expression to catch if no parts estimates are made. That would be for the arithmetic expression, and then I'll use this one for a general expression. So I'll give it a message box. I'll show this particular message box. The message is going to be no parts estimates made. And then on the title of the message box, I'll give it no parts. I'll give it address to it. Okay. And then the button that I'm going to give to it is going to be an OK button, and I'm going to give it an icon, an information icon. Okay. If a general exception occurs, I'm going to give it a message box. I'm going to show a message box. The message will be contact admin, and then the title bar will show error. The button be an OK button, and the icon will be an error icon. So within the try block, I'm going to say that the average net profit is equal to the total net profit divided by the total quantity. So let's run it and see. Click on the total net profit. So without anything entered, it is showing no part estimates made. The title is showing error, no part estimates, and then it is giving this button and this icon, the information icon. Okay, so the question says that we should, let's look at the question. The question says that we should use a model level variable accumulated, then they will compute the average net profit and display a message box like this one. Display a message box that shows the total net profit, total quantity of parts. And so what we do is to declare a particular variable to store the message itself before we display that particular message. Okay, so I'll give it, I'm declaring a variable called message. And then I'm declaring it as a string. So the value is going to be this. So this particular text, so total net profit. I'm going to concatenate it with the actual total net profit, and we have to convert it to a string, since that particular total net profit is a decimal. You have to convert it to a string, and we can add the currency and make it 2 decimal places. And concatenate it to, so that will form a new line. So we have to use this one, control character dot new line. So this will be on a new line. The next one will be the total quantity. So total quantity. This will also be the total quantity, the answer you got for the total quantity. Convert it to a string, and for this one it's not going to show any decimal places, and then it won't show the currency too, so N0. And we concatenate it to the average, so the average net profit. That one to take the answer you got for the average net profit, convert it to a string, and the currencies will show into 2 decimal places. Put it in inverted commas. Okay, so let's try it and see. Okay, wait, I've not made it to show the message box. So the message box, So the message box will show. So what message will it show? This particular message, and it has been stored in this particular variable. So I'll bring that variable over here. So you can use any name over here so that the answers will change. You can use any name over here and then make sure you replace it with this particular name. So the message, then the title. So the title is showing totals and averages. So the button that it will show is an OK button, and then the icon that it will show is an information icon. Save it. Okay, so let's run it and see. Type something, type something, type something, type something, type something. Click on the compute. Now let's click on the total net profit and see. So it gives us this, and it seems I forgot to bring the next line so that it will show the average net profit on the next line. So let me go back again. And where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Okay, here. So I have to concatenate it with controls character dot new line and bring the concatenation again. Okay, let's try it one more time. Type something, type something, type something, type something, type something. Compute, click on the totals. Okay, so we have it now. Save. Okay, so let's move on to the next instruction. So we are done with this part. So the next instruction is the exit button, and then we are done. So that is the last instruction. So the last instruction is to code the exit button, which is me.close. So before that, let me add this comment. Calculate and show totals and averages. Add a comment to this. Close the form. Okay, so we are done with this part 2. So this is the end of part 3. Thank you for watching.